all right. And we are here.
We're back, baby.
We are back.
Yes.
With another Her, Him, and a Mic.
That's right.
And this time.
And Netflix for sure.
And Netflix, I guess. Her, Him,
yes.
a Mic, and Netflix. I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we're going back. We're going back to our buddies over at Love is Blind.
Yes.
Which is a show that we really enjoy. And this time they're like really trying to milk it, right? Like they're trying to give us more and more and more from the same season.
Well, so much took place. And you guys will find out why they did an After the Altar.
Yes.
Because a lot of juicy drama took place.
Juicy drama. Juicy juice.
Yes.
So,
and I can appreciate it because you invest your time in watching like these people supposedly like fall in love blindly, right? And then you sit back and you watch it all hit the fan.
And then you don't get an update.
And you don't get exactly. They do like the reunion at times, and it's like very vague. But let's see how far it really went. Like let's see if it's
the
really
other seasons they did
lasting.
They did do the they did like a 1 year after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. I feel like that's what they did before. They did like a year later. This time,
this is their second after the reunion. This released on February 10th and of 2023. So they're doing After the Altar, So it was the reunion already took place, and this is just another update.
Was the union a year later, or the union was
I'm
just
not sure,
at the end
but
of
it
the
was
show?
at the end of the show. At the end of the show. So now they're doing After the Altar. And as much as these shows are difficult and not a lot of people like end up together, it has a better ratio of working than The Bachelor, or these shows that have been around forever where they have 30 seasons deep in one marriage,
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have better odds, right? Because they're not just giving one person a chance to be together. It's however many people, pick each other. So just depends out of that bunch who actually stays. And so far, this is the third season, right? So the first season, I guess they do have one couple that for sure stood together.
For sure, yes. There were two that got married, I believe. And then the one really...
Wasn't it like the second season where like after we watched the reunion and like everybody separated? It's like everybody was still together.
There's always drama, but let's focus on season 3. Let's see what is happening and let's get ready for it because this was something.
Yeah, so I guess the easiest ones are Alexa and Brennan, right? So they have it here. They're still together. They're planning to start a family. I mean, we watched them and, they seem like they're happy. It was kind of weird when they went to, I guess they showed them at the parents' house, at her parents' house. And they did like a prayer or a speech or something. And the guy was like that he hates.
The father said
he hates Brennan.
Yes. And it seemed like maybe potentially it was a joke, but it was
but he lingered. He
said it and just didn't laugh. And it took quite a bit. And it was kind of awkward. And it was like, yeah, you do hate him. We believe you.
Yeah. It was like facts at this point.
Yeah. It was a little uncomfortable to hear. And then also he says that he kind of lets Alexa push him around essentially.
Yeah.
So I think he just doesn't respect Brandon. Yeah. Brandon. He doesn't have any respect for him. Which, you would think that as a father, you would be happy to see someone kind of just want to make your daughter happy, right?
Yeah.
And kind of bend and just give. But it must be so bad that he's like, dude, come on. Like, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell.
And
like,
you
he's
can
really
tell, yes.
conformed to her. Like, her way of being and who she is. Like, he's almost just like her now. Like,
well, it's like he lost his identity and now he's just Alexa 2.0.
yeah.
You know, even at the he approached Cole at Alexa's birthday party, and you kind of saw him throw like this tantrum to Cole that was it was like unnecessary.
Yeah.
He was talking about how he didn't appreciate how he treated Zaya and how she made her feel fat and all this other stuff. And Zaya and Alexa are supposedly very close.
Yeah.
And it seemed to be just Alexa's opinion delivered by Brandon.
That's exactly
Cole.
what it feels like.
That's what it felt like.
Like he was given a script or something to deliver.
Because then he was like, you know, we were cool and this and that, but then you got to make it right. It's like, first of all, in my opinion, I thought that everyone, after watching how it really went down and how he was just sharing the freaking mandarins or whatever, oranges or whatever that was that they were eating, and he kind of was like, that's all you ate today? Like, I thought it was going to clear things up. But apparently, they were just going along with Zaya's bull crap, which, like, it was pretty clear. But for me, at least.
Like
was it for you, C?
I mean, it looks like that's what they did completely, like the whole cast.
Yeah, like
he's
just
almost like a shutout.
Yeah, because
which is wild.
The girls got together, and then the guys got together, with the exception of Cole. Cole was like by himself.
Which, if you compare
with his friends,
Cole,
like two of his friends.
If you compare Cole to the other dude who was with Bartiz.
Yes.
Bartiz said hella shit.
Oh my gosh.
It was Nancy's face.
It was
like
insane.
She was trash.
Yes.
Like, we watched it all go down. And nobody's shunning him.
That was really bad. But I think it was the way that Nancy took everything and kind of excused his behavior, essentially. And Bartiz is not like Cole. Bartiz sticks to his truth and kind of doesn't tolerate people trying to shame him for it.
Like, he doesn't,
which I can appreciate.
So it's not worth giving him shit because he owned it
he
when
is
he was
his
at the
own
reunion.
person. I don't give a crap what you think. I was living this is a first time thing for me, and I'm living it. And yes, I'm making mistakes, but I'm being truthful to what I feel, and that's how he is. Yep. That's how he speaks about what happened, and I respect that, even though what he did say was really bad, because Zaya claims that a lot of things that were behind the scenes, and then when Netflix had the opportunity to show that clip back, it was clear as day that they were trying to, hey guys, look, this is what really happened. Don't feed into her nonsense. But apparently all her girls fed into it, and it just spreads out, and it's like, oh, Cole's the bad guy.
Like, bullied him out of it.
Yeah, which is really bad to see adults behave that way. You know, like, okay, Cole, you can't come and hang out with us because Zaya's feelings are super boo-boo hurt. Like,
yeah,
you know, you can't say, I think where it went wrong right away for her and Cole was the fact that he was attracted to Colleen.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was that.
Bartiz was attracted to Raven.
Exactly. And he made a much bigger deal.
He did.
He did approach Raven, and he did make very clear statements to Nancy about what he was feeling.
Okay, so let's get back to them.
Yes, let's get to
Alexa and Brennan. I guess there was the least amount to talk about because they are fine. I mean, he lost his identity, but
he's okay with it.
Yeah, he's not looking for it.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't lose it. He just said, you know what?
Dude,
I'm gonna take yours.
This, but I don't think you give a crap about it.
I think part of that has to do with the fact that he was broke and she is loaded. So
he's got nothing else
he's like,
going for him. He's getting ass,
that's why the father doesn't like him, because
yeah,
she is gonna protect him and say, this is my husband and I still want what I want. So you're still gonna give me what I want, father, and my husband's gonna give me the other part that I want, and we're good to go. So
which
the father's like on the hook.
Yeah.
Like he didn't get rid of a daughter, and I don't mean get rid of him when they get married, but meaning like his load wasn't lightened. It wasn't like, okay, I'm passing you off to this man who's going to take care of you.
Yes.
I'm passing you off to this man who's going to live with you, and I have to still foot the bill. So it's like I actually just increase my cost of living by having this guy join in.
I agree, 100%.
So I could see the annoyance.
The annoyance, and also like, you know.
But it's also not. It's like, what is Brendan supposed to do? He can't make himself make more money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just be like, all right, since you guys make all this money, I'm deciding now that I'm gonna make a lot more money at work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's not how it works.
If you don't have the ability to have those jobs or to do those things, you're not gonna make more.
Obviously, Alexa is not going to give up her lifestyle. No. Also, like, the father can only dislike him so much, where he can just, like, Alexa just probably turns around and says, well, your wife is my age.
Yep.
You know, and that's pretty much it. You know?
Yeah, agreed. So I mean, if you don't have anything else, like I don't really care for Alexa and Brennan.
Like,
I don't either. It's not like that first season with I forget their names, but the guy who like immediately proposed and
they were kind of similar, but I just feel like the way they're not the same kind of people. Like, you see how Alexa is just like spoiled and stubborn, and you see how Brendan, has just lost any sense of being of who he ever was, because even his mother at that table was sitting there crying. And it was kind of like they all, even his family, which was kind of nice
all went to Judaism
to see, but at the same time, when you see his mother break down crying, it's kind of like, okay, are you guys really that okay? You know?
Yeah. Or like, she's like, pretty much, I lost my son, who he was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get this different version now. And like, it's like, listen, if you guys want to be a part of this family, you better convert to Judaism too. And they're like, okay.
Yeah. It seemed like that's how it went down. And I mean, listen, he's happy. He's got his girl.
He got his sugar mama.
He's doing his thing. And if he's happy, then good for him. But I think where, for me, in where it got weird, it was when it felt like he was just also just delivering her words. And it was like, dude, come on, man. Like, don't have your own opinion.
Yeah, seriously.
You know?
It's like not even his battle with Zayn.
No. And it was so like, well, I guess we'll get to Cole in this whole conversation, because I was like, dude, he has nothing to explain to you. He has nothing to prove to you. He probably hasn't even seen you till just now at this party. And I'm sure he doesn't care to see you again or deal with you other than, Netflix, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of like, you're going to have to do this if it's like, I don't need to explain myself to you.
Agreed.
Point blank. I almost wish Cole was a little bit more like Bartiz.
Yeah.
And kind of, because then this would have stopped a long time ago.
Agreed.
And they're still going with it, milking it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So silly. But again, anything with Alexa or Brennan that we want to...
No.
They're not too interesting.
Not at all.
All right. So now you got Colleen and Matt.
Oh, man.
So they're like, it's weird.
It is.
Like, I wonder how long ago did they know that Netflix was going to do this? Because I almost feel like they probably just are sticking at, like, through it just to, just because they didn't want to break up before the show. Because they're literally not living together.
They're not.
Which they keep saying, oh, well,
I don't
know,
want to break my lease.
yeah, I don't want to break my lease, and I know for us, if we would have started living together, we wouldn't be together. And it's like, well, then you're just like, you're not married.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe legally you're married, but if you're just going back home, or they're just sleeping over then going back home, like
Just
you're
dating, yeah.
That's you have
at best.
You have a fiance,
Yeah.
which is silly.
But they're legally married.
Mhm.
And I just get like these weird vibes from them, like the way that like he was messing with her, and like she will tell
you annoy
him,
me.
yeah,
He's like, I like to annoy you.
yeah, and
It's
like
that's not cute. You know what I'm
no,
saying?
because you see it in her face how uncomfortable she is.
Yeah,
and
she's
like she
not
tells him to stop.
Stop. She's not
Mhm.
doing that. She's like, bro, like I want to stab you.
Yeah,
Stop it.
like freaking stop. And like it feels like at any moment she's gonna one day snap, because you can see it in her face how much he dislikes it, and she's gonna end up freaking hating him if this is just his personality. If she doesn't already hate him, which I get, again, that type of vibe that she's like, I freaking can't stand you.
Yeah. And, like she also makes fun of him because I guess he has short legs and a long torso. So
And he seems to take that instead of like jokingly, like really freaking personal.
well,
where-
now he looked like he was laughing, but I guess she
Yes.
brought up the fact that he used to
Get
lose
very,
his shit if
very
you
mad.
if I made fun of you.
And
like what is like what?
yeah,
Why
like
is that okay? Like haha, your legs are so much shorter than your top half. Haha.
yes, I agree with that, but also like she made it sound like he like enrages about it.
Mhm.
But I guess that maybe you shouldn't be looking at him in that light or want to make fun of him like
That's what I'm
that if you
saying,
were
like,
in
that's-
love with him,
That's uncomfortable.
because you will kind of find it cute, even if it was something that you found to be a flaw. Like you kind of just love that person as a whole, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know where the let me make fun of your dimensions
Yeah, it's so
came into
weird.
place. And I don't know how angry he really got about it, but there seemed to be really deep issues there. And we did see a little preview when they were on the honeymoon stages where they were staying at that hotel or resort or whatever, of how angry he got over like, just like a back and forth conversation. And then even when she went out with the girls, he lost his shit completely because
Well, that's when he was drunk, right?
yeah, well he was drunk, but still like he lost it. Like he was not like she went out with the group of girls, and to him it was like the ultimate betrayal. Like it was a little intense.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think I forget the scenario, but I thought she didn't tell him, or she thought she did, but she says she did. I don't know. But he obviously loses his shit pretty quickly.
And she seems terrified when she looks, like even when she's standing next to him, like she kind of looks at him from the corner of her eye, and you're like, are you okay, Colleen? Like blink twice and let us know what's going on. It's sad because I don't know. Obviously, we don't know the ins and outs of when they're like alone in the relationship that they have, right? So they're still together. They claim to be in love, but certain gestures and body language like kind of doesn't align. And it seems like there's some serious crap going on
after
over there.
a year, it's like a year, right? More than a year now that this happened. Like, if you're still not living together, like that's a bit much. Like even if you keep let's just call it what it is. Like it's stupid. If you still are keeping your lease, right? And you're gonna be paying monthly anyway for that lease. What's the difference? Pick a place, live there, leave the other place. And I mean you could still be paying for it, but you're with your other person.
Exactly.
But they
Like
don't
if you don't
want
want to
to do
break
it.
the lease and then kind of make it like a little vacation spot, like a little getaway. Let's go
Yeah,
here
let's
for the
go over there for the
weekend. Let's
weekend or
go.
whatever.
And then I don't know. I don't know with work how that will work out either. I don't know how their job situation is. I don't know how far her place is from his. I don't know how that whole thing is taking place. But even the parents admitted that they were talking. Her parents and his parents were talking to each other constantly about how weird it is and how they're not necessarily really married because they're not even living together and they're kind of running away from each other in the mess that takes place.
Yeah, so when they get upset, they just are in their own place. They don't bother being next to each other. And it's like that's not real life.
No.
That's
and I don't know that I'm like in no way am I suggesting, hey, live together. If you guys have a really bad relationship, then it should just be done. Not let's live together and see what happens when we both get upset. You know, like if it's at that type of point.
Like it's not. It's just like stop the bullshit. Though.
Then just stop putting up a front like you guys are married, but you can't even live together. That's divorce.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, or at the very bare minimum, separation, right? Like, that's the whole point. We're separated. You go get another place and stay over there. I'll stay over here, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's like I guess that's what they're doing. They're seeing what happens. Maybe it's not. Maybe for them, they're just. Like I said, I think maybe for Netflix, they're putting up that kind of front, and maybe they're just trying to see if they're going to last or not. Like they don't know, and instead of just getting divorced, they're gonna just
ride it out.
Like we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Even though we're married, we'll treat it like we're just dating and see where it goes. If we end up wanting to stay, maybe they gave themselves a deadline without.
Yeah.
But they were also talking about
like having kids and
having kids and getting animals and doing all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And she wants him to get his dog spayed or neutered or whatever it is. And it's like.
But he won't do it. And she's like, I won't move in until this happens. And it's like, if your wife is telling you, once you do that, I'll move in, then like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to put things into perspective.
But we were talking about
I think one of the girls brought it up. They were like, if your wife tells you to get this done so that she can move in with you, it's like, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, but then you and I, when we were talking, I kind of when we saw it happen and we were talking about it a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like, but if I don't know you're 100% gonna ride, like if you're gonna stay here, I'm gonna do something permanent to my dog.
Yeah,
and
that's true too.
You fucking decide, you know what, it doesn't work, and I'm out, and then my dog is assed out, and
agreed.
Like he was here a lot longer than you.
Exactly. Essentially.
So you get what I'm saying? So I'm not.
He also did make a comment, like on camera, how, oh yeah, because the dog was there, and she doesn't. I think she said that she doesn't think the dog is cute. She wants to get a cute little dog, and she's like, it's true what they say that you end up looking like your pet. And I think that was like a serious dig at him.
Oh wow!
Like considering, like, so there's like jokes, and then there's just like pure freaking evil and nasty. You know, like maybe you're not good for his self-esteem. This guy obviously needs a whole other. Like he went through a lot. He was married before.
He was,
and he got cheated on.
And she got pregnant.
And she got pregnant by the guy that she was cheating on him with, and they kind of just started their own family, and he was just left behind, not even knowing pretty much what happened. So Matt has been through a lot. He's very distrustful. I don't know if those moments where we see him kind of rage out, he's just having a meltdown, and he's just not like nothing to be worried about. He's just having his meltdown because he feels insecure because of what happened, or if he's like seriously like angry and can really, do anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, you don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know if those things are just from his rooted things and he's struggling with feeling insecure. Like, someone doesn't care about him. Like, you can't. That's pretty straightforward while we're playing around for me to tell you these type of things as if I'm not attracted to you or like you, right? So, like, if we're not both in on the joke, where we're both like laughing and going back and forth,
agreed,
then you're just freaking telling me nasty shit that I don't want to hear.
I feel like she does that a lot, and he laughs with her.
But
I feel like you can
deep
see
inside, yeah, like he gets like red.
Like, you
yeah.
bitch.
Yeah. So I don't know how aware he is that the cameras are there, and he's like, you know, then when the cameras are not, he does talk about it, and like, I don't know.
So they're like a mystery. Like, they're together, but we don't know what's
really happening there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it even says over there that she says, I can't wait to move in with him. It's like, you could wait because you have waited, right?
Right.
Like, again, you don't have to give up your lease to move in. You can just move in, be there every day, all day, and you have this other apartment that you pay for because you don't want to break the lease.
You're still paying for it, right?
Yeah, you're going to pay for it regardless.
So, yeah, it's either pay up the $5,000. He said it was $5,000. Pay up the $5,000 up front and then just be done. But why if you can still keep the apartment?
Yeah.
According to her,
storage,
though,
you can keep it for too.
Yes, that too.
Just to keep shit over there.
Exactly. Or, like, I don't know how things work over there, wherever they are, but like, rent it out.
Yeah, you could sublet it.
Yeah, like you may have a friend that is looking for a place or you want to stay there, and you know, that friend doesn't need to cover all of the rent. Maybe, I don't know. Figure it out. If you want to live together, you will be living together. I think that's just point blank. It's like when kids, when people say we're holding off to have kids until, you know, everything is aligned. Nothing's ever aligned. It's never the right time to say, okay, well, I'm completely financially where I want to be or dream to be. I completely have everything I want to have. Like, you're never going to be at that place. You can't put everything on hold until you get, like, you always want more. You always, I don't know. It's
true. All right, so Colleen and Matt.
Complicated. Let's leave it at that. Labeled complicated. The first one, don't care.
First one, don't care. Second one, complicated. Got facts. Okay, Raven and SK.
Yes.
So obviously we know they're broken up.
Man.
But this episode, the way they did it, like, we knew the real life stuff that happened already because we heard it in social media, right?
Yes,
so
and it was kind of like speculation. I wasn't sure that was like 100% true, right?
Yeah, but there was a lot of rumors around it.
Yes.
And like, there was no rumors about anybody else around it. So, you know, why did they just randomly pick him to make rumors about? No, obviously something was there.
Yep.
But they started the episode, and I thought because it was so long ago, I thought this was after that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought they filmed this after those events.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they showed her with him. And I was like, oh, shit, I guess maybe it wasn't true. Or she forgave him.
Yes, one or the other. But I also think that, you know, like, when we finally see the actual show, it's like they film the show, and then it's like a year of freaking editing or whatever, whenever they feel like putting the show up. And then the reunion happens, and that goes up whenever. So this obviously was filmed back when this whole mess was taking place.
Yeah,
if
or like
not
right
before
it
even was reported and it came out.
Yeah, it had to
you know?
be before that because they added the other part at the end, right?
So let's get into what took place here. Because obviously, so Raven and SK, she was going to marry him, but he did not want to get married.
She said yes, he said no.
And then they ended up, you know, at the reunion revealing that they were dating, right? So they started dating. He's going to school and they're still together, right? So when we saw this after the altar episode, he is planning to propose to her. so that
Yeah.
she knows that this is indeed heading somewhere, right? And he's making it this, big deal. He's talking to his brother about it. And it's like, oh, that's sweet. This is nice. Maybe they will end up together. And he did propose. She said yes. And then it cuts to 2 months later, and she's making a video crying, saying that, first the screen went completely black,
Wow.
and it said 2 months after the engagement ended. And it was because she found out that he was cheating on her. It was really sad because Raven has such trust issues, and has a hard time kind of letting people in and being herself around someone that she's with.
Yeah.
And she felt really comfortable with SK, which I think it's what kept her with him, made her want to explore and continue the relationship.
Yeah.
Being able to do these things that she didn't feel comfortable doing with someone else before.
Yeah, she's she was really guarded. So
She was.
you could see during the season, the original part of the season, it took her a while to build up to SK, because she didn't really like him in the beginning.
Yes.
Like that. She was not pleasantly surprised when she saw him. And I think, the emotional part, because the physical part I don't think was there for her.
No, I don't
But
think
the
so. I
emotional
think
part revealed itself to her.
I think with Bartiz she would have had that. I think, but she couldn't get through the emotional connection in the pods.
Yep.
And that's what led her to choose SK. And I think that's what's harder, right? And also, again, seeing that she became vulnerable enough to go ahead and have this connection with him and be able to do these things with him that she couldn't do with other people. But when you are not initially attracted to someone and you get past that, right? And then you decide to open up your heart to this person, and then they do something like this to you, it's like, you didn't even deserve me to begin with, because I didn't even like you. That's crazy.
It is wild.
That he did this to her. Her life was he's in school. So essentially she's kind of waiting for him to finish school so they can kind of move on to the next step.
Yeah.
This is not
after
cute.
he said no to her.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
She was extremely gentle and kind with him.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion of her. I really liked her because of how she treated him and others. That was, I don't know. I'm really disappointed.
Yeah.
In SK and the way he dealt with this whole thing.
I mean, he denies it. He said that it didn't happen. But what? I don't know.
What is there
he
to
gonna say?
deny? When things come out, things like this kind of stuff doesn't just come out of nowhere. Somebody doesn't just make this stuff up. And obviously there had to be some type of truth to it and some type of evidence.
That's
things
the
needed
more
to
thing.
add
People
up.
can try to make shit up, but there has to be some evidence. For her to believe them over you,
Yes.
there had to be some evidence. And in the world with cell phones, where everything's a camera, I'm pretty sure somebody got a picture or some video or something where they saw him doing something with somebody else.
Agreed.
And I think that's the reason why she would break it off after waiting so long
Agreed.
for him with the school ship.
Agreed. 100%.
That's wild.
That is. Listen, I can't wait for her to find her person and to have a nice, happy life. And all I can say is SK messed up. He really messed up because I feel like she was very let's meet in the middle.
Yeah.
She never disregarded his feelings and what he wanted. She embraced who he was
I mean, in the very beginning, when she didn't
When she
really
was more
like him,
guarded.
yeah, she was talking about, her stuff, and she doesn't want to decrease her
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 lifestyle and
lifestyle and
everything.
all this stuff. And, so in the beginning, she was like that. And that's what he kind of used against her when he said no, that she wasn't willing to compromise.
Yeah, but then all that stopped.
And then so she started compromising.
Yeah.
And
even while she was saying that she wasn't necessarily like compromising, everything that he did want for her to like do and incorporate like his culture into the wedding and everything else, she did do.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, actions speak louder than words, and those were her actions. So,
Agreed.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was like you said, very disappointing for an SK, because he fed us a good load of shit, when he was talking about how, I just want her to, be
herself, yes, and all this stuff. You can't say that to someone and, I accept you and love who you are, and then cheat on them, because then, like, that doesn't mean crap, right? Like, it's really annoying, because this is why there are so many people in the world that are guarded like this, because of people like SK who find that and abuse it, because that's what he did. He took advantage of the fact that she trusted him and she loved him, and he just freaking threw that out. It's really upsetting, because if you didn't want to be with her, then why are you proposing?
Again.
If you didn't want to be with her, why are you like lingering her around? Let her live her life. Let her go. It's mad selfish, mad disrespectful. And especially for someone who goes to a show, especially, being the female, to do this kind of stuff when you're not invested, that's messed up. Right? And I say especially being a female because of the clock, right? When it comes to like having children and all this other stuff. Like, if you guys are building to get to that point, you shouldn't waste her time.
Agree, which is silly that, like, he basically tried to frame it why he said no in the first place, because he didn't want to lie to her, or he didn't want to, say yes when
he wasn't there. Yeah.
Total crap. And it's like, cool, you weren't committed at all, apparently. Yeah, I don't know. It's sad for her. I agree with you. I feel like I wish this was like The Bachelor or something, where she could come back now,
right?
And try to get love or whatever it is, but I don't think she's like that. She wouldn't. No, she wouldn't be able to open up again.
Yeah, she wouldn't be able to. Make her more guarded, more reset into her ways.
Right now, like, she was probably thinking, like, wow, look, I went on this thing and I changed and I opened up, and I never been like this, and now it's like, well, I ain't doing that shit again. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly. And even if she wanted to, and she felt like, I learned that I have to, it's okay to go through the pain of to be able to feel these things, right? It wasn't a clean breakup. So then you can kind of say, okay, well, I'm going to open up my heart again to someone. But this was like a betrayal. It was like a big betrayal, where everybody found out, and it was really bad. It's really bad.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, not cool.
Not cool. All right, any last words on our SK friends?
What are we labeling this?
I mean, sad for her.
It's sad for her, but this was just all fake. This was all fake. Because he's the one who proposed, came back to propose again. This fed us a load of crap. She wasn't saying, hey, SK, come propose to me. Nope. He went ahead and did it. His brother was telling him how lucky he was. And look at this mess.
His brother also said, what's the return policy?
For the ring. Yep.
Just in case.
So maybe his brother knew something we didn't know.
Yes, we know now.
Yep. Listen, the truth always comes out.
It's fact.
Yep.
That is fact. All right, so they're like the situation.
That's the situation. There we go. I like that. Situation.
All right, so now we have our friends Zanab and Cole, which again we kind of touched on, but I mean, frankly, this thing it annoys me.
This is the freaking.
This is going to be called the annoyance.
The annoyance, please. Let's just label that right away because this is the gift that keeps on giving, but you don't want.
Yep.
Okay? I'm so sick of her victim portrayal. Like, this is just messy. She says
we watched it.
We watched it happen. Like, you can't keep going with it. I understand you convinced all your girls to, take your side. And listen, I'm all for empowerment and go ahead and put someone in their place if they deserve it, right?
Agreed.
And maybe he did a couple of things to annoy you. And then
that's life, right?
Yes, and that's life.
Perfect,
exactly.
So let's not.
And then when they sat down, she also said, "Oh, I get there," and you're like, "Okay, well," like talking about her attitude and how she's behaving. And it's kind of like, yes, because he was making you dinner and you're sitting there. That's not how you cook it. That's not how you do it.
Yeah,
Let me show you. I don't like freaking what was Brussels sprouts or whatever he was making. And I prefer broccoli, I think she said. And it's like, dude, you're just a ball of complaint.
Seriously.
And you are so aware that you went to go start seeing a therapist. And listen, you could not pay me enough money to try to help this lady out if I was a freaking therapist. I would be like, no. All she kept saying was my DMs are open. And it's like, ain't nobody trying to write on the...
Seriously, we all watched what you just did to this poor guy.
Right?
You were, during the show, you belittled him a lot.
So bad, yes.
You kept trying to stop him from being happy, essentially.
And then any issues that she had, she put them on him.
Yeah.
You made me feel this. No, I'm sorry. But, we saw how it played out.
Yeah.
If you have those feelings about yourself, stop putting them on him. You work on you.
Seriously.
Make yourself stop feeling this way. Make yourself feel better. Find your self-worth or your self-esteem and stop putting all your issues on this guy that you just met.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even right from the beginning, when she took off her makeup, she was very self-conscious about it. And she kept talking about it. And it's like, dude, what do you want him to say to you?
But this is the thing. She did say, I wear a lot of makeup. And all he said was, yeah, you look really different. Obviously, right? If you put on pounds of makeup, which you are stating that you do, obviously you wear that to look different. So he's stating the obvious.
Yep.
And you're gonna what?
Tell him that he put her down because she brought it up.
Are you kidding me? That's crazy to me.
Yep.
And listen, had I seen any signs where I felt that he was being shady and doing, putting her down in any way, I will be the first one to sit here and say, listen, that was messed up.
I mean, he was for a while in the beginning, he was talking to other people about him not being attracted to her like that.
Yes.
And him trying to overcome it. And, what is he going to do? And it kind of all went to a point when he was at that pool party in Colleen.
Yes.
Colleen.
And I was stating how that was, I said to you how, oh, wow, that's not okay to do. But when you take yourself out of just watching what's happening, he's talking to these guys, right? And you and I spoke about this. He's talking to these guys for some type of reassurance to figure out how because this is all new to them. So they had an emotional connection in the pods, and then you see them in real life, and it may not be who you imagine or the way that you imagine, but you still have this connection with this person. And even if you still find them physically attractive, right? You still have to connect the two. And that process is difficult. And it takes some people longer than others. And I think he had a lot of trouble connecting the two.
Well, I mean,
And
but you
he
can
was
like
very verbal about it.
you can get it, right? Because she did look very different.
Yeah.
Taking off the makeup.
I agree.
And that is something that you have to kind of adjust to. Like, first of
Mhm.
all, with the makeup, he had to adjust to it because I think even with the makeup, she wasn't his type per se, right? So that's the first hurdle because he's a
Agreed.
genuine,
Yeah.
like generally speaking, he's a good-looking guy, right? So, you know, he has a type, which everybody
Mhm.
has whatever types they have. And like that was the first part for him. He had to get over that. And then it's like, surprise, when I take this off,
There's a whole other
There's a
person.
whole
So
nother
you're
person to get
gonna
adjusted
get a
to.
layer of somebody, and then you're gonna get a whole other one.
that you
So
had to accept.
mhm.
And he was just his downfall on the show
was
was that he
processing
was
through it. Yeah.
his process was talking about
Mhm.
it to everybody else,
Yes.
woman or man.
Yes. I agree with that 100%.
Like
But I
that's
also
like an
know
internal struggle, but at the same
yes,
time,
but
the show wants you to talk. So
the show wants you to talk, and also not everybody can process things the same way. Some people need to like take a quiet moment to themselves and kind of go over everything and not interact with others so that they can funnel out what they feel. Some people
Yeah.
need to go to a friend or somebody to talk things through so that they can hear it as they are saying it and make sense out of it.
which if this was his real life, this is how he would handle it.
Exactly.
So he was just being, I mean, he was being honest. Like he didn't think he was
wasn't
doing
being
something
shady.
bad.
Mhm.
He wasn't out there thinking that he was talking shit. He wasn't saying like, man, this is one ugly chick.
Yep.
I don't know how I'm gonna deal with it. Like he's like trying to work through it and trying to get some feedback.
Yes, because the name of the show is Love is Blind, right? So he did fall in love with her, but now the blindfolds are off, so let's figure that part out and connect the two. And it's that simple.
Yeah, it's hard to hear
Yes.
as the person who is being spoken about. Like you don't want the person who you love to tell you that, man, I really have to figure out how I can get past how ugly you are to me. Not how ugly you are, but how ugly you are to me.
To me,
right?
yes.
Obviously, that's the issue because everybody's, beautiful to somebody.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So that's what he had to get past. And because of the name of the game, which is the show wants you to talk out loud. Like, again, nobody, like, they did, but then they didn't. But Bartiz did the same shit.
In my
And
opinion,
none of the girls shunned
Bartiz,
him.
yep, did a lot worse. A lot worse.
Way worse.
Because you can see that Cole is just struggling.
He is tormented
And
by
he's
it.
tormented by it because he doesn't know how to navigate through it. And, but just to close this off, Cole, when they did the reunion, I was very concerned about Cole. And I think you were too, because we were speaking about this. And it was so sad to like see him so distraught, right? And it's like, you can't put all your baggage on somebody. You don't know how they're going to take it. And he didn't seem like he was handling it well.
Mhm.
And then to show up at that reunion and having to face everybody coming down on you, like that mentally does something to you. So I was worried, and so were you, about how Cole was dealing with this stuff. And it seems like he said he just got into work and stuff like that. And then before he went to talk to her, he said how do you talk to somebody who no matter what you say will frame it in a way that is messed up.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was like, okay, good. He figured it out.
Well, he also
You know?
stated that he's been seeing people, nothing long term or anything,
Mhm.
but he's been kind of getting back out there and doing things. So that also kind of helps get your mind right. Like, well, these women don't think I'm horrible. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it just kind of puts it in perspective. Like, okay, she had some issues that I couldn't solve.
Yes. And I think that's the bigger picture. I think you said it right there, and that's like the closing argument to this. She has she can't solve, those are very deep ingrained situations
Those
that
are
she
big
needs to,
insecurities
and
that she has.
she needs to continue to see her therapist to navigate through it. And listen, everybody has their issues. Everybody has their situations. This is just playing out on television. And I think she was very unkind to Cole.
Agreed.
And that's where I'm gonna leave it. And that's my whole thing with her. She was very unkind. The way she handled it, the way she embarrassed him. Like it talks
Multiple
about
times, like
yes,
everywhere.
because
Like,
she talks
at that wedding, even on this thing, same thing.
She talks about how things that we didn't see, based on what we saw, it was like it kind of made sense why he would say some of the things he did say to you. Some things were out of line. You said some things out of line to him. And then when you look at, you're insinuating that he did other things, right? Which I feel like if Netflix put up the clearing out of the whole fat shaming her, right? They could have put everything else out too. But they were like, okay, here you go. You do with this what you want. We're telling you the truth now. You're seeing it.
Well, which we know they do, because in The Circle, the other show that we like, remember when the two people didn't tell the guy that they were the ones who got him out?
Yes.
And like they made sure to bring it up because they wanted it to be out there.
They wanted it to be clear.
So if there was a situation where Netflix knew that she was telling the truth and he was lying,
they would have put that
they
out.
would never frame her.
I don't.
Like, Netflix would never go against a girl like that, especially in this world where you don't want to take people's emotion and disregard them.
Agreed.
But it's almost like they were like, bro,
there's nothing we could do about it. There's nothing to show. Yeah,
like you were feeling a certain way for no reason.
Exactly.
If anything, you came into that scenario crazy. Like he was talking about long term, getting your where we're gonna do the wedding and how we're gonna go over here and do over there.
You see him excited talking about it. Yep. Just it was a bit much, and I don't know how it's not like obvious to these girls watching this thing back.
But they don't care.
They don't care,
because they're already friends with her.
Yeah, and to keep the friendship, you kind of have to tell them what they want to hear, and that's where I don't do that bullshit. It's like honest friendship means more than a load of bull crap being fed to you.
Then you're not friends.
It's not real friends.
That's not friends. But these people are also, because it's not their problem, it's easy for them to just be like,
let me tell her what she wants to hear.
And this is what, or they could just feel like he's wrong no matter what because it's not their problem. So because it's their friend, they just
all right. I'm on your side. Whatever.
If you're saying this is what he did, I wasn't there. He's saying one thing. We didn't see everything. So,
we didn't.
You do have the fact that she can be saying that, oh my God, this happened, and name a bunch of things, and that's what she did. She named this scenario that they showed us.
And they clear it out.
And because we couldn't see it in the show to begin with, she thought she would be fine telling the story how she wanted to tell it. And then Netflix brought out the receipts. So at the end of the day, we started by labeling this the annoyance. And I think that's what it is. It's just an annoyance with Zanab and Cole.
It really is. There's no getting anywhere with any type of conversation. And I think that for Cole was hurtful is that she kind of just wrote him off, didn't talk to him, never anything. She just said all the crap that she said and then left him to die.
The mic and got the fuck out of there. And you see it highlighted that she said it again here, I believe, or something closer, that he destroyed her self-confidence. No. She had no self-confidence.
Exactly.
She had no self-confidence to destroy.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
And she seemed pretty freaking confident when she walked out of there.
Oh, yeah.
She seemed pretty confident when she wants nothing to do with him.
Yep.
I think somebody who's got that kind of grip on you can reach out to you, and because they have that kind of grip on you, you tend to pick up the phone or to go ahead and let them back in. I don't think Cole had any kind of grip on you and was able to destroy all these things, because I don't think she would have been able to handle herself the way that she did.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
I agree 100%.
It's all contradicting.
All right. So the annoyance is over.
Man.
And this is the last couple, which they're not a couple, but
Nancy and Bartice. In this mess right here, this is
right now, I feel like it's not much of a issue.
Okay, so this is the thing with this scenario over here. Nancy was still, when we saw it, Bartice is very clear. We're friends. You're
He's
cool
been
people.
clear
Yeah.
the entire time.
We went through this process and I didn't feel this way about anyone before. So I still want to have you in my life. But essentially, I don't want to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
But to her, there was still hope.
Which is why you can't be friends like that.
You can't be friends like that, because if any time that he's joking around with you and if he reaches and
or touches
you, what does that mean?
Again?
Exactly.
Like,
to him, it's really clear. I made it really clear. I didn't want to marry you. I'm not trying to have anything like that. But we did go through this and we did have a deep connection. So I really want to be in your life.
He thought that they could be friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't be because she still has feelings. Which is wild, because why would you make that scenario when we saw it at the wedding, right? And
yeah,
the family lost their shit and stuff, and she was
yeah,
like, no, it's over, it's done. Like, you said no, we're done, I'm moving on. Like, dude, you didn't move on.
No,
you know
not at all,
like,
not one bit. And listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with them feeling like we went through this process together and we want to continue the relationship, continue to be friends and be in each other's lives. But when you're not over that person and you're thinking that it could potentially be more, listen, if he's a single guy and you guys are friends and you end up partying, you get drunk, you get touchy, maybe you end up kissing, and it's like he already made it clear that he doesn't want anything with you like that. Like, there are friends that hook up, right?
Yeah.
So to her, it wouldn't be that type of incident. It would be like, we're back together, he still loves me type of thing, because of where her mind is, right? So you can't have a friendship like that. I think that's the type of friendship that he would enjoy having with her.
I think he was fine having that idea, because he's kind of flirty. So if he was talking to her and he flirted with her a little bit here and there, just as part of normal stuff, and if they ended up hooking up every once in a while, I don't think he would have cared.
Yeah,
because he emotionally wouldn't have been there.
No,
but for her,
I agree.
if they did that, she would be thinking all this type of crazy shit. And I think the mother tried to tell her that she has to cut that. She has to cut him off.
Yeah, because she was seeing him behind their back, and then when the mother found out that they met up, she didn't even find out that they were hanging out together. So that they met up, right?
Yep.
And she's like, "What are you doing? You got to let him go."
Yeah. So at the actual party, they went to the side and they were speaking, and he pretty much point blank told her, like, all right, like, cut the bullshit. Like, are we gonna be friends or not?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just cut the shit. And she said no, and he was taken back. I think, like, he didn't think she would say that, but
I think that he felt that everybody was in her ear about it and that they have a lot of fun together. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason why they have so much fun together is because Nancy is not necessarily being Nancy. Nancy's being what she thinks will lure Bartice in.
Yeah.
Like, who she thinks, because if she was really taking her feelings into consideration, she'll be like, listen, Bartice, I still have feelings for you. You're either going to be with me or not. And like, this doesn't work for me. But she was there playing, the role of like, are you going to fall for me? Because I'm being super flirty and super nice and very lighthearted. And, I've changed the way I'm dressing or looking. And am I pretty enough now for you to feel?
Highlights.
Yeah, it's for you to feel like we're the good-looking people at the spot now. Because he did make it a point that, if he had chosen Raven, or if he was with Raven, if they walk into a place, he said this to her face.
Yeah.
Like, these are the people that are like, okay, well, they're looking good. They're the good looking people. Like
Yeah.
I say, you're not, Yeah. So I think we saw a whole other side of Nancy, more put together, more, and I think that all has to do with all the stuff that Bartiz, said, essentially.
Yeah, I agree.
Listen, Bartiz went through this process and he was himself. He went through the process for him. It wasn't about anybody else.
He's also much younger
than
these people
exactly.
as well.
And was it delivered with finesse? No.
No, not at all.
No. Was it sugar-coated in any freaking way? No. It was a hard-to-swallow pill, but you do appreciate the fact that he kept it real. And that's all you can ask for, right?
Yeah, he didn't hide anything.
No. And then he doubled down on it. And I think that's where I can appreciate, like, I'm doubling down on the fact that I did this for me, and this is my truth. You don't like it? That's your problem.
Yeah.
Not mine.
And
I'm not gonna marry somebody because you guys want me to play nice guy.
Exactly.
We're not in love with her.
Exactly.
I don't
and
feel
they
that she's hot enough.
They try to shame him for the first reunion.
Yes.
Because he after the thing he was out with other women. It's like
he's single.
I said no to her.
Yes, he's single.
I didn't say yes and she said no to me, and I'm like, oh my God.
Now I'm in distraught and in a mess. Yeah.
He said no, which means I don't want you, which means if another woman came up to me right now and I thought she was hot,
I'm all for it.
I'm gonna hook up with her if she's down.
And listen, I do think that he did try, because right away I think he felt this way with Nancy. He was not attracted to her. And then you saw...
I don't think so. That's a little different. So I agree with what you said, but it didn't come out until he saw Raven.
It didn't verbally come out until he saw Raven.
And then he was into Nancy super.
Yes, do you remember the clips they showed where he was concerned about when his friends saw her?
But that was all after.
Yes,
that was all after Raven. You get what I'm saying? So up until Raven, he was in the bubble with her, meaning he was 100% mentally into Nancy, and they were doing it all the time. They were very touchy. He was all over her.
Yeah.
And that's because I think when he saw her, in his mind, the love he had for her plus her was good enough. But then when he saw who he passed up, in his mind, he felt
started messing with him.
He passed up the other one who looked like dynamite to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's fuck me, dude.
Yep. I can't show up to my boys with Nancy, tell them I passed up on Raven.
Exactly.
And then I think he started then messing with his own mind. What type of women do I normally date? Yep. And this is not gonna be right.
That's where
for my lifestyle.
And this is what we talked about with the show, where it's as nice as it is the way they do it, once they put them together so quickly, it's on purpose. A lot of these people said yes to each other. You're purposely messing with them.
Yes.
They
let
should
them
do
build
the
that
separation
connection a
and
little
then
more.
meet later.
Yes, I agree. If Bartiz and Raven did not work out, they should not be seeing each other for a bit longer, because that was also an option. If people are torn between 2 or 3 people and they finally make their decision, they should not see the other two until they're fully really, because it's
After
a struggle to connect the two, we have said before.
They should do the outside when they go outside and live together in the real world for a little while. That whole thing they should go from honeymoon to that part without seeing any of the other people, and then do a reunion for them after the fact.
They frame it like it's a test, right? But the test
needs
to take place a little further out. If the goal here is to try to make these relationships work.
Yes, because in real life, if they were dating another person and then decided to be with this other person, essentially that other person would be cut out, right? You wouldn't go back and see them. You know what I'm saying? So they should make it where, right, emotionally you were with another person.
Yes.
And you left that person for this other person. Like, now we're going to get into the physical world. Give them some time.
I agree.
To
100%.
get adjusted. Aside from the first moments, right? That's the first rush. You're just happy that you finally saw the other person, right? So, and they're not like there's a balance, right? There's a difference between being like, oh my God, she's so hot or he's so hot, to like, okay, he's not ugly or she's not ugly.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I can live with this because she's not ugly to me.
I just got to figure it out.
Yeah, like I can make this work in my head, because I love her. So I can make it work, right? But like, you have to let that moment
sink
for a little bit
before you start seeing like, oh shoot, I could have had this could have happened. Like these other options need to really, like, this needs to sink in before you see what other options you did have.
Agreed. And if you think about the show, right, because it's a little misleading, and I don't mean the name of the show is misleading. It's like, the answer is yes, Love is Blind, because these people truly wanted to get married without seeing each other, right? Like, that was immediate. So it works. Yes, you were willing to say, I do, or, not I do at the thing, but I accept the proposal. Yes, I want to marry you without ever seeing the other person. So yes, Love is Blind. Boom, that's it. It works right there. Now you bring the physical in, right? Now we're not talking about love being blind anymore. Now it's about them seeing each other and trying to make that work. If they want it to really make it work, you gotta give it
some time.
You gotta give it time.
And listen, we're talking about, they go from that initial connection, right? And they're like all into each other emotionally. Obviously, they have to like share things and feel like they've connected. Now, we're also thinking about the fact that in that instant moment, it's like they walk through a little strip, right? And then it's like, marry me, yes. And like that thrilling moment, it's also like you're presenting the best version of yourself. You put yourself together for this, right?
Yep.
And then you go to hang out. And then sometimes, I don't know, like, think about all these little things, right? You think someone looks a certain way, and then they smile, and you're like, that is not a nice smile. Or like, oh, that's a nice smile, but look at that tooth in the back. Like, and then there's like little things, or like, you go out to eat, and you're like, oh, this is how you chew. Like, there's so much more that they haven't experienced together. Or like, how many times are you gonna blink while we're talking? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are things that bother other people. Okay? There are things that bother other people that it may not bother someone else. So, like, all these things are the reason why it's so complicated in the real world when people go on a date and it's like, oh, so that's how you're going to sip your coffee, huh? No, this is not going to work out because I can't listen to you sip on your coffee the way that you're doing that. Like, there are obvious reasons why, and they do the emotional connections to see if you can get past those things once you meet them. But like, the first engagement thing happens and you just walk through this strip, and obviously they're, dressed to impress. And then you got to kind of like, okay, well, let's look a little deeper. And then a little deeper after that. And these things have to be processed. And then you got to remind yourself of like, okay, well, no, hold on. I had a connection with this person. This freaking tooth sticking out over here is not worth leaving that connection. Or like, maybe I can teach this person how to chew a little calmer. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot that can make things go in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with the goal of the show is to get past all like superficial.
But you can't get past these things until you've experienced them. Like, you look a little deeper. You're closer together now. But what they're doing is presenting you with what you missed out, right? Before you have a chance to adjust to maybe all those little things that you start to notice.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, the other situation is that seeing the other people can also reaffirm your decision for you, depending on who it is. So, like in his particular situation, Bartise got kind of
Freaked out.
because of who he let go, or like Cole, same thing, right? Like he was fine with Zainab, and then he saw Colleen. He was like, "Shit, like that's who I would normally want to be with," right?
Oh shit!
Yeah. But like Brennan didn't think twice about it, right? Like Brennan wasn't looking at anybody.
No.
You know, but he also didn't really connect with anybody.
No, and Brennan. Honestly,
it's a stupid
okay,
name.
yeah. It's so this is the thing. He was just happy to have found somebody that he had a connection with, and that was really obvious. And then it really became obvious now, like he's just happy to be with somebody.
Yeah.
And you pointed out something very important when they were talking. They were both saying about how it's nice to have someone.
Yes.
Not nice to have each other.
Yep.
And
that was the best part of being
big
married.
Difference.
Having someone there is what they answered.
There's a
like
big
companionship.
difference. Companionship. Somebody who can deal with me, who can tolerate my nonsense, like somebody who's just there. And like it wasn't having this person because I love this person. Like there's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel complete if I was next to someone and that someone wasn't you, see?
Yep.
Right? So there's a disconnect there. Like, I'm happy
the same way. That's
hanging
exactly
out
what it
with
is.
you, being with you, talking to you, not talking to someone, being with someone.
Yeah, as long as there's someone there.
Yeah, there's a
happy.
difference.
Yeah.
I will feel empty inside if I was with someone.
Yep.
If I'm with you, my heart is full. And there's a difference, a very, very big difference between the two. So, what are we calling Nancy and Bartise? This is, we're going to close this case. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
This is close for Bartise, still pending
this
for
is the
Nancy.
closure.
Yeah.
This is the closure. The closure. Because they did find, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they found, right? The closure is done.
Yes.
Like now there's no more lingering.
No.
Right? Bartise
No.
is free to go be with whatever chick he wants to be with, and he can stop worrying about dragging Nancy along.
And Nancy
just
stopped
gets
her.
it. It's done.
I think this needed to happen because I feel like Nancy had this sit down with him to give him the opportunity to say, well, no, maybe we can fix it. Or I am a little, sometimes I do feel like we can go back to being us. He had a window to say these things and he did not.
Yeah,
so that made it very clear.
He did the actual direct opposite. It made it very clear, like, listen, nothing's happening between us.
Yeah.
Do you want to be friends or not? Like, that's it. We're either friends or not friends.
And, respect for Bartise. I appreciate you, Bartise, and I think C does too, because
Agreed.
When he walked away and he went back to the guys, he said that was difficult. That was more difficult than I thought it was going to be. And the reason for that is because you have a moment over there with somebody who you did connect with to feed them kind of like bullshit and keep them lingering around.
Yeah.
But once again, here comes Bartise staying true to himself and stating the facts as they are.
Listen,
and
truth
that
hurts
takes
sometimes.
a lot. That takes a lot.
It does. Truth hurts
takes a lot.
sometimes. Sometimes the truth hurts and you don't want to hear it, but at least you know where you stand.
That's correct.
There's no like, oh my God, does he actually like me? Does he not? Like, he's letting you know, like, no. No, I like you as a person.
Yes.
And I think you're dope. And I think that even though we didn't work out, because I loved you so much, I would love for you to always be in my life.
Yeah.
And
I think that's where he's at, and that's it.
yeah. And you know what? If they were to hook up every once in a while, as long as she was on the same page as him, that it was just a random hookup or whatever, then they could have made that work.
Yeah.
Where they could just be friends and be open to whatever happens and be
To
done with it.
always wonder if there will be more, and there's not. at least not yet from him. And maybe someday he'll be ready for something like that. But I think when things like that happen and we've talked about this, and it's kind of like, it's, to us, it's a little crazy when people spend like 6 years together before they say, okay, well, I'm going to settle down with you, and it's kind of like this would be a situation where if he ends up like kind of coming back to her years later, it could be, because he did love the person obviously on the inside that she is, right? But it's also kind of like, okay, well, I've exhausted my options out there, and now I can make peace with being with you, right?
Yeah.
So there's also like, yeah, we know we're together, we're working towards this, and then let me see if there's anything better out there for me that I can settle for before, fully jump into this mess.
Agreed. Plus, if they kept being friends, like, how do you meet somebody new?
That too.
Because if you're a dude and you're trying to hook up with Nancy, and it's like, that she's like obsessed with Bartiz, and they're still friends, like.
So Bartiz also had an issue before. They said she is friends with her ex, and they have a house together.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, and it's kind of like, it seems like this is a pattern with Nancy, having trouble letting go. Yeah. And I think she needs to work on that, and figure that out, because you got to move on. You're not going to find your next thing or your path if you're hanging on to the one behind you or the other. Like, you got to cut loose. And I'm not saying it's easy, but from an outside, you can easily say it, and sometimes they need to hear it, right? And I'm not saying it's easy. We've all been there. Where we can let things go, right? We cannot let things go, where it's like messy or whatever. So, we've all made at some point a clown out of ourselves, but we're here talking about what's on TV.
Yes. Yes.
And you've got to let him go, and you got to let go of that other ex that you have a freaking house with, and kind of just cut ties.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So overall, what do you feel about the idea that they're doing these like multiple follow-ups now? Because I feel, for me personally, I feel like that was one of the things I always missed. Like, I don't want to have to like follow these people on social media.
No, I wouldn't do that.
What's happening?
No,
right? We don't.
And they're gonna come on. It's social media. They're gonna feed you. They come on the show after the follow up to try to feed you bullshit, and you try to read between the lines, which is what we're doing here right now, right? Yep. And imagine on social media how much nonsense they're really gonna really show you their narrative and what they really want you to see. Over here, we have the advantage of Netflix catching on camera moments that they don't know, or where they let their guards down and boom, yeah, we saw that, you know, but they're just gonna feed you more nonsense with the whole social media game. But I think this may have been one of their better seasons. I think that potentially because SK was going to propose again, and maybe he
like that would have worked out really nice if he didn't cheat.
Exactly. But maybe that's why they brought it back. They're like, oh my gosh, another proposal? Yeah, why not? Let's do that, right? And then we'll do a catching up with everybody, and that's big enough to want to make another, after the altar thing about. Yes. So that's cool. I love the show, so I'm glad that they're.
Well, I think that's dope because it also bridges the gap between now and the next one, right? So as you're ramping up the next group of people who are doing the show, you following up with the old people who did the show, and you give us that, juicy content, and then, I'm assuming it's already been a year since they filmed the other one. So we probably got, another 3 months or so before the next one comes out?
Oh, see. Yes, but guess what else they gave us?
What did they give us?
Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey are really, really, they found their spot at freaking Netflix. They started with Love is Blind. Then they brought us Ultimatum.
Which we really like.
Yes. And now there's a new show. I'm blanking out on the name right now. It's like a second chance at love. And they're going to bring some people from Love is Blind, right? And I saw some people from The Circle. Ooh.
Some people from The Circle?
Yes. And they're going to give them a chance at love. And it's going to be so freaking juicy. And I'm so excited. And we're going to be back to talk about that show too.
Oh, man.
Oh, yes. I'm so freaking pumped.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, is there an Ultimatum Part 2 coming?
I hope so. I hope it's soon enough. So this is the thing. I do love what you said. They help us catch up with they help fill in the gaps, right? You're waiting for the next season, but like I watch Love is Blind Brazil.
Yep.
I watch that as well. I watch Ultimatum, I think it was as well. The Brazil.
Because they do the English.
Because they do the
English voiceovers.
Yes. So if they did that with the other ones, I will probably check them out too. But I told you guys, I'm not about reading TV. I'm about watching TV.
For sure. For sure. All right.
I need to hear my entertainment.
Agreed. Agreed 100%. Agreed 100%. All right. So any last thoughts or feelings on the season? Anything?
Thank you, Netflix. Thank you very much. You continue to give us everything we need.
That's
you know, they have the funny content, the stand-up comedians. They do the stand-up comedy. They do the drama. They give us the freaking reality. Oh my God, the reality TV, man! And I am so happy because
it's like a new quality level.
Yes.
Reality TV though. Back in the day when reality was
But this is
out,
the thing, see, I've always liked reality TV, and I've always tried to suck you in. I'm like,
I know.
This is where the juicy stuff is.
Forever.
And yes, he has. He really has. But Netflix, there's no dodging Netflix. So thank you again. Those are my last words.
But these are
to this thing.
contained, like they're contained experiences. See, you like the wild and crazy.
Woo!
Like
Yes.
anything can happen.
Take it all in.
People are like doing crazy stuff. Like
Yeah,
I like
this is a bit more calm for sure.
There's a method to the madness here.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But yes, the Netflix has become my reality TV spot for sure.
Yes, you were so against it, you know,
Well,
but
we're here.
I've been loving reality TV for a while now, and I am glad that because listen, this is so cool. I really enjoy like talking about this mess.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, I guess with that, we'll be back the next time there's another.
We'll be back.
There's another one to talk about. But until that time,
You're intruding.
you're intruding.